These 5 things will absolutely help grow the value of your home starting right now. I've been through more than 30 homes this week showing houses to buyers that look absolutely atrocious. Home sellers that are on the market for weeks and months, absolutely frustrated, having money just flow out of their pockets. This isn't just for the people that are on the market now. If you're considering selling your home the next year or two, there's another phenomenon that people who are actually putting their house on the market will a lot of times do a bunch of updates on their home when they're finally leaving. It's like they do all this stuff and make investments and then don't actually get to appreciate the thing. So my point is, I'm going to give you the things that you need to know, even if you're selling in the future, on things that matter in this market, and they matter now more than ever. In a 2025-2026 market cycle, you are seeing what? An increase in home sellers competing with one another all throughout the country, not just where we are in Florida, but everywhere, which means doing the 5 things I'm going to share with you on this video will make it to where you will make a lot more at sale. You will sell faster. You will sell with less hassle, because additionally to that, something else that's unique, doing these things will net you more money for the investment you make to do them. So nobody really wants to spend money unless they can actually get a return, which is the crux of the video. But I'm telling you, in a market we're heading to, doing these 5 things will actually net you more money than they would have 5 years ago. So when it was actually a seller's market and sellers made the rules and they could demand the buyers do whatever, they could leave their pants down when it came time to selling their house. They didn't necessarily have to clean behind every corner. They didn't necessarily have to make sure the home was tip top for them to get out and get out at a ridiculous number, which means if they did many of the things back then that I'm going to suggest today, they probably wouldn't have gotten the return. And now you're in a different position. So take copious notes, because I'll be your coach. And why shouldn't I be? I've been in real estate full-time for 23 years. I've sold 3,000 to 4,000 homes. I'm going to help you make some smart decisions on this update. Let's get into it. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is paint. Paint is a huge deal, especially in Florida. Paint actually acts as a seal for the house. And paint also repels buyers when it's done poorly. So I'm walking in home after home, and sellers, by the way, this is not obvious to them. And honestly, I don't think a lot of agents are telling sellers this fact, because you could have a home built in 2020, 2021. In your mind, you're thinking this is still a new house, but we are walking into banged up, beat up houses, and paint is not expensive. I'm going to tell you in a moment, just in my area, what it would cost to paint interior, exterior, and time again, particularly Northerners go,
oh, it cost me like twice as much to do that.
But here's the deal. Paint is important because in Florida, the sun beats down on our houses. The structures themselves obviously are sitting on soil. Soil moves over time. The house starts to settle. So small cracks start forming on the exterior. Paint is the time when a painter will show up, seal the house, and then paint itself becomes a skin, because we have weather that's kind of crazy at times. We get lots of rain, and that house does not need to have cracks where it's impervious to water coming in through the cracks, possibly causing damage to the exterior. Your sprinklers alone can cause these kinds of issues spraying onto the house. But this week alone, I've been in houses where we're standing on the front patio, the buyer's waiting for me to get the key out of the box. They're staring at this dingy porch. It's dirty. It's dated. The front door has got hand marks all over it. This is the same throughout any of the high traffic areas. People are touching the walls, touching the doors. If there's children, it's even worse. I got kids too. I know how it is. And many times, my friends, touch-up paint is not going to cut it. If you start touching up your paint has been on the walls for 3 or 4 years, the new paint is going to stand out. It's not going to blend, probably even make it look worse. In my area, for labor, material, the whole bit, $1 per foot on the exterior and $2 per foot complete on the inside by a professional company that does phenomenal works, painted many, many houses for me over the years. It's not crazy expensive, and you'll get your money back at sale. Color tip, stick with neutral tones, grays and browns. Look at your kitchens, look at your baths, make sure those line up with the colors that you select. If you have really dark colors on the wall or really like neon colors, consider painting over them. In the very rare instance where you have like maybe one child room that's deeply themed against all the others and the home has been really well taken care of, I may pass on telling the seller they have to paint over that. But if you're talking about major living area rooms, if you have a consistent theme where you like really bright mustard, orange, things of that nature, you're going to have to fix those colors. The last point that I'm going to make on this is odor. Most sellers have a smell. They can't tell what it is themselves, but when we walk in your house, we figure it out really fast. And sometimes it's obnoxious and it sticks into the walls. So you're planning to sell, you need to have someone tell you with truth, what does my house smell like? Some agent told me that it may smell and I won't know, because that's how it works. And paint is going to be one of the first steps in masking weird smells. We used to have an adage from 20 years ago that said, if you can smell it, you can't sell it. And it's a fact. I walk in house after house, pet smells, mustiness, weird odors that just go with the owner house after house. And it's very distracting, and buyers will then just layer that on. If there's other issues, it will become costly in the end, or they may just pick another house. Next, lighting. Lighting is a huge deal. And I'm not just saying lighting, I'm saying electrical in general. This is a sad thing. I see a lot of people start to update this, particularly on their way out. And I'm like, why did you live with builder grade lighting all this time? And now you added the HGTV pizzazz on your way out. Again, that's the crux of this video, but let's go through it. Number one, you don't want builder lighting, especially in a high competition market. So if you're in a marketplace where there is more and more competition stacked up against you, I can assure you, if you're in a transitioning market like that, you're going to have situations where buyers walk in your home and they're going to see the old builder grade chandeliers. Are usually tinier, basic, that have the boob light. I'm not trying to be crass, but every single buyer calls this light the boob light. We see them everywhere. It is a sign that you are not upgrading your home in any way. So this often also reminds people of a rental property. So people, if you even live in a property full time and they see them, they think that is probably an investment property and it's probably not been lived in by the full-time owner. You want to get rid of that stuff. So if you can, over time, just start transitioning those lights out. The other thing too is your light switches and your outlet covers. So your outlets themselves and light switches and the covers around them, if they're almond, if they're beat, if they're discolored, smoke detectors can go in this line. Changing all that's going to help you out. So don't do it at the last minute. So you can obviously enjoy it yourself, but additionally, thoughtful upgrades in this area is also helpful. So when you walk in closed in areas like laundry rooms, right? One way in, one way out. Those are usually places that you're in for a few minutes and you leave, like a guest bathroom. Using motion activated switches is a nice, thoughtful improvement on the house. Using dimmers in areas where, the mood is going to be set, for instance, like the living room or at a dining room chandelier. When buyers see these kinds of upgrades, they think, wow, this person's put an extra touch on the house. Plus, I'm telling you, you will enjoy it in your ownership if you do these before you sell. Last point I'll make on this is keep all of your lighting on your inside of your home themed the same. So if you're using warm, use warm throughout. Don't switch to daylight. If you're using daylight, don't switch back to warm. Keep it cool. Item number 3 on major updates you need to make, flooring. Hear me on this. Condition before style. If your property has ripped up carpet, if you have scratches on hardwood, if you have scratched up luxury vinyl plank, or some solid surface that looks beat, you are shooting yourself in the foot when it comes to a buyer in your home. I don't care if you're a luxury home. Even buyers with a lot of money, they're going to walk in and say, what am I going to deal with this? I don't know what my partner is going to want me to pay and put down. And it's just a question mark and they hate it. Not only that, if you start to see damages and pulled up carpet and things of that nature, they automatically start adding up. There's things I can't see. If this is visible to me, there's a whole lot of unknowns in this house. And so you're losing the buyers, but you're also going to end up costing yourself a lot of money, way less than if you would have just done it and you'd earned more and most likely beat out other sellers at the market that are against you. Also in Florida, carpet, wall-to-wall carpet, it's out of favor. Like if you have a bunch of carpet in your house, most likely that's not an ideal thing. I would be very cautious in considering how much of that I'm going to leave in my house. Maybe in the bedrooms, but allergies are a real thing. A lot of people are now really fond of luxury vinyl plank. Ceramic tile, wood-like plank tile is very popular right now. So you have other options. And honestly, like laminate and luxury vinyl plank is reasonably inexpensive to put down and it's easy to deal with. So if you ever wanted to take it out, it's very flexible. Ceramic tile is harder to deal with. So if someone doesn't like your style, again, a lot of people love it. So you are safe on that notion that there's probably a buyer for it, especially if you don't get really crazy on the design of the flooring, then you're going to be fine. But scratched floors, pulled up floors, carpet that contains odor, you got to deal with, just like the paint. The odor is also the second major absorption. So if you have carpet, and we talked about earlier that your bestie comes in, hey, do you smell something in my house? Most likely the carpet's carrying it. Carpet, if it's in good shape, there can be enzyme treatments and things of that nature that are heavy hitters to removing odor. But if you smell it, you can't sell it. You got to talk about those types of things before you hit the market. And again, if you're going to do your flooring anyways, do it in advance so you can enjoy it. The number 4 upgrade that will help your home's value are countertops. Countertops are an instant update. They're an instant plus. And here's the deal. If you own a home that's maybe 15, 20 years old, there's a good chance that if you haven't spent any money on it, the countertops look bad, especially laminate. Laminate is completely out at any price point, even entry. So you have entry buyers now that are going to be seeing homes. And when you finally put yours on the market, they're going to see properties with stone tops, quartz, granite, one or the other. And here's the deal. It is not that expensive. Okay. So again, pricing on this type of upgrade, you can get a nice quartz top on a mid-range home from the bathrooms and kitchen installed around $3,000, maybe $3,500. Some granite options even less than that installed. And if you're in my area in Orlando, reach out to me. Be more than happy to be a resource on all these kinds of things. But again, this is one of those things that has great ROI in a market like we are in now and a market that we're heading into. And so if you've got those counters, don't wait until you sell so that you can enjoy them as you entertain and as you live in your home. It's a great upgrade to do for yourselves. And on the last point, disrepair equals discount. If you have broken drawer faces, leaking faucets, you have loose shutters, buyers see all of this as signs of neglect. Now, these aren't upgrades, they're just maintenance. And I get it, you want to fix them before they kill your momentum as a homeowner. Now, the longer you sell on the market, the more price reductions you have to face. You don't want to also give buyers a reason to walk away. And buyers will walk in and find a few different things wrong and think the craziest things. They'll tell themselves stories that absolutely aren't true. They'll see a floor crack and say, the foundation of this home might be actually cracked. I have to go find a different house, and you don't need that. Now, on the flip side, some of the things you might be thinking that you need to do, for instance, it's been long known in 2020 and 21, things of that nature, that if you had a roof that was maybe around 12 or 13 years old, and a year or so later than that, you might actually have to replace a 25-year roof at its half-life. These were things that were actually happening, and these things are no longer upon us. I've had recent closings on roofs that were 20 years old that as long as you got a 4-point inspection saying that there's at least 5 years left, the insurers are writing those insurances in Florida. Now, electric panels that are dated are a little bit tougher. So if you have old electrical components that are like 25, 30 years old, those might have to be addressed, but that's a few $1,000s to fix. It's a much different price tag than a $15,000 or $25,000 roof. But as I said, in many places, the market has shifted and the buyers have more power. And these small moves that I've pointed out can be the difference in selling fast or selling at all. And my friends, as always, if you're not sure what your house needs, reach out and I'll tell you the truth, even if your current agent won't.